Hello, everyone. Welcome back to La Liga. We are covering week 3. Should be a cracking weekend full of fixtures. I have alongside me Matt Clark from La Liga Lowdown and Junior Browne. Matt, we didn't have you on the last weekend's fixtures, but were there any teams that really stood out for you?
I think it was a slow burner of a weekend, in fairness, but I think the standout fixture had to be Levante against Real Madrid. That kind of 6-goal thriller on Sunday night. Levante 1-0 down at halftime, came flying out the trap second half, and it had everything. You know, in the end, the goal, outfield play had to go in goal. Real Madrid were trying to win it, but Levante held on for the draw. It was just fantastic, fantastic entertainment. And of course, the night before, Athletic Club really made Barca suffer, and were ahead in that game for quite a while, and only in Memphis, Golazo saved Barca there.
Yeah, what a strike that was as well. You had under 2.5 goals, didn't you, in that one, Junior? And that one paid off. How did you find the weekend overall?
Yeah, like Matt mentioned, it wasn't the most exciting weekend, but I'm just glad to have games back. So I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, as they say. But I will say this though: can referees in La Liga settle down with these penalty calls? It was a bit ridiculous, some of the penalty decisions. For example, in a game where it would have actually cost me, Celta Vigo, that penalty decision where the defender would touches his face slightly, like that. If you touched your girlfriend like that, she wouldn't even get upset. That's a penalty. It's unreal, some of these decisions. But like I said, don't want to be negative. Just glad to have these games back. The Levante Real Madrid game was really exciting. Nice to see Vinicius Jr. start to live up to the reputation that he came into Europe with. It will be interesting to see, because the way Ancelotti's talking, it seems like he might win a place in the starting 11 at the expense of who remains to be seen.
Vinicius Jr.'s second goal was just quality work of art. That goal was. It was beautiful. Yeah, he does start with a really strong, experienced front three in Bale, Hazard, and Benzema. It's a nice problem to have, trying to fit all these world-class players into a single team. A bit like managing Arsenal, I guess. Okay. We're going to start breaking down all the fixtures soon, but just quickly, daily reminder to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss a show again, and head on over to sportsbookreview.com. It's a great site. You can read sportsbook reviews there, of course, but we have picks, previews, analysis. We have a free odds comparison service. We round up all the best bonuses. We have really advanced sports betting calculators. There's all sorts of great tools that you can use, and it's all free. Also, take part in our Pick 6 NFL and college football contest. 50 grand up for grabs over the course of the season, $1,600 per week, and it's totally free to enter. Once again, you just need to be a member of SBR Forum to take part, and why wouldn't you want to be a member of SBR Forum? The forum's great too. So there you go. Shout out to all the guys on the chat. Holla Barca man. Hello Beep Beep, I'm a Jeep. Vamos chicos, like it. Hello Tevin. Hello Lucas. Holla Barca man. Mitch is getting on a flight. Safe flight there, Mitch. Oh, we've got Legacies calling in from Cape Town in South Africa. Great to have you here. Hi Irish John. Hi Ian Messina. Hi everybody. Thank you very much. Right, we are starting with Mallorca versus Espanyol, and Mallorca tend to be pretty strong at home, tend to not play so well on the road, but they did win away from home, didn't they, last time? So there you go. What are we going to see, do you think, Matt, in this one? Can Mallorca beat a fellow newly promoted team? I think they lost there, didn't they, last season? They lost to Espanyol at home last season, but can they get it done in this one, do you think?
Well, it's an interesting matchup, as you say. These were two of the teams that were automatically promoted last season from the Segunda after just one season, and they were both really strong in that division, which is a tough division to get out of. A lot of big clubs still down there, and they were both, kind of relentless throughout the season. A couple of dips, but overall really strong. And in the end, the title was decided by head-to-head, and Espanyol did just edge that. But as you say, Mallorca are generally very strong at home and have already got those 4 points in the bag from their opening 2 games. So they'll be looking forward to this one, I think. There's a bit of spice with their old manager returning to the stadium. So that could be interesting with fans back now. But equally, Espanyol have had a pretty solid start too. They were generally more of a goal-scoring team last season, but were a bit more shaky at the back. But this season, they've started off with two clean sheets. So it's just whether they can click up front and find a couple of goals, because their attack on paper looks really strong. So you'd back them to have goals throughout the season. It's just a question of, can it click in time before the international break? I would probably edge towards Mallorca for this one, but there won't be much in it. It should be a good game.
It should be a very good game. I hate the international break. We start to build up a bit of momentum from a sports betting perspective, and then the international break just ruins it all, and loads of big players come back injured, and it's just not much fun. But hey, we have to do these things. Junior, are you looking forward to Mallorca versus Espanyol?
Looking forward to it is strong, but it's an interesting game. I think Mallorca's style has been working for them through 2 weeks of the season. That high press of theirs really makes other teams uncomfortable. So it's a game that I think I don't see an advantage either way, which is why I'm not playing it. Two teams that know each other very well. Although Mallorca did have a lot of moving parts compared to the team that they had last season. This for me is a stay away for no other reason that the only play that I see worth making is the under, but that's at what, -165. I'm not interested in that price whatsoever.
Fair enough. I'm going for Mallorca draw no bet. I got -118 on that. I just don't see them losing this game at home. I think they've got good momentum, and I can see them getting at least a point. But yeah, we shall see. Moving swiftly along to Valencia versus Alavés. Oh, interesting game. I never really know what to expect with Valencia. I've said it a million times. Half a very good team, half a not very good team. Very strange results, really. Alavés, pretty unimpressive as well. Junior, do you have anything on this game? How do you see this one unfolding?
Yeah, I have Los Ches at -125. I think that although I don't all the way trust Valencia going forward, I do trust them at the back. I think that their new manager has built a reputation for earning results, because that's what he does. And I think that he gives them a solidity in an organization that they were kind of missing last season. Although, Valencia had one of their worst seasons last year in a couple of decades, they were still very solid at home. And now that they have, fans back in the Mestalla, I think that Alavés going, into the Mestalla and picking up points is pretty unlikely. And also, I've watched Alavés' first two games. Obviously, the game against Real Madrid, it's a bit difficult to judge. They just don't look very threatening, in my opinion, which is why I'm going with Valencia, because I just think the way that Valencia goes about their business, that they might actually be a little bit more adventurous against this Alavés side at home. And I mentioned before the first game of the season, I really needed to see Gonzalo Guedes step up. In the first game where they were down 10 men, he ran his socks off and really was all over the place. And last week, he had a one shot cleared off the line. He was very threatening. And if he can get going, Soler looks good. I just think they have enough in attack to nick a goal and just see out a 1-0 victory here.
Oh, nice. Beep, I'm a Jeep is saying it's another easy pass for him or her. Sure, these are him. Barca man is going for over 2.5 cards at 1.95. That's an interesting way to look at it. Yeah, I'm not so sure about this Valencia team either, but I will cheer them on now that I know you're backing them, Junior. Matt, would you be a bit concerned if you were an Alavés fan? Do you think they're in real relegation danger this season, or do you think they can claw their way out of it?
I would be concerned, yeah. Admittedly, the start at home to Real Madrid was always a tough one on paper, and so it proved. But yeah, they need to pick up some points soon, otherwise, they will be kind of stuck in that mire from sort of very early on, and it could be a long fight to get out. They did show some really encouraging signs when Javi Calleja came in last season, but it's one of those where you think, okay, perhaps that was the honeymoon, and now the realities that led to two coaches being sacked last season will come back to bite them again. They've lost Lucas Perez, one of their forward options, and Yeah, it just remains to be seen whether they can get enough goals. It's always going to be the question for Alavés. Again, they can be quite solid when they want to be. It could be quite a stodgy game. Both teams trying to cancel each other out. But I do quite like the call there for over 2.5 cards. I think that's quite a good one.
Indeed. Beep Beep saying, which girl would have a UFC heavyweight champ as a profile picture? I can't see. I can only see it very tiny while I'm trying to read. I've got all sorts of screens going on up here, but thank you for enlightening me. Celta Vigo versus Athletic Club next. Ooh, a bit of a clash of styles maybe here. Athletic Club are very sort of hard-working, very good at grinding out results. Celta Vigo are terrific going forwards. It could be an interesting clash of styles. I'm passing it because I'm not sure which one prevails. Do you have anything on this one, Matt?
I think this is a really tough one to call. Again, I mean, Celta they've probably flattered to deceive a little bit so far. They haven't really been able to find the net. It was one of those Monday night games against Osasuna last time out, and it was 0-0. It was quite a good 0-0, but Osasuna were more likely to score, I thought, in that game. So for Celta, they need to, again, find that groove of getting their best players on the ball and creating more chances for them to score. And Athletic Club, again, it was quite a stodgy first game, but then they really came to life at home in front of their fans, taking on Barca and really making them suffer in that game. And I think it will be difficult for them to replicate that kind of performance again a week later and away from home. So again, a draw looks quite tempting to me here, but again, it just remains to be seen which kind of Celta turn up, to be honest.
Yeah, Barca man's going for the draw. Petter says he's just going to go for under 2.5 goals on every single game. That's an interesting way of looking at it. I wonder if that could be a good experiment. Could come off. Junior, have you got anything on this one? Who do you think wins?
Yeah, actually, I've admitted my Bilbao bias. I've taken Bilbao straight up at plus 220. I actually watched that Celta Vigo Osasuna game because I had money on it. I had Celta -1, and I don't want to overreact to what I saw, but I did have some concerns about Celta's back line. I think that they're also a bit vulnerable out wide, where I think that Munain and Valencia can find success down that left flank. And I think that, again, I'll admit my bias. I think that I was very encouraged by the performance of Bilbao versus Barcelona in the sense that they just created a lot of chances. It's one thing if you're not scoring goals. It's a whole other ballgame if you aren't creating any chances. And Bilbao was pretty unlucky not to get a second goal in that game. And I think that their pace and again, I love to admit my own bias because, recency bias is a real thing. In that Celta Osasuna game, I just felt that Celta's midfield, other than Tapia, who basically was running around like a madman trying to plug holes all over the place. You could see him screaming at his teammates. I feel like their midfield is kind of lacks a little bit of bite. It seemed very, very easy to turn and start a counterattack versus them. And I think Bilbao can have some success there. And I'll just admit that it's not that I think that Bilbao is going to go in and definitely win the game. It's the price that led me to this decision. As I watched that price keep moving in my favor, I talked myself into Bilbao, who have 1 point through 2 games, 1 point through 6 games, even 2 points. Sorry, 1 point or even 2 points through 3 games would be pretty disappointing for them. I think the very least they go for a draw. They look to get a draw, but I think they can nick a win here.
Oh, like it. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, Celta Vigo do give you space to exploit at the back, so yeah, could well pay off. Sean is going for the draw at half time. Devastating news on the chat. It's been discovered that Chief Wiggum isn't actually in North Korea, but we can protect. Next up, we have Elche against Sevilla, and Sevilla is a team that I am straight up loving. Bet them both weeks so far. They've done the business for me. Difficult game against an informed Elche side, but I really feel like they can keep the momentum going. Do you think we could make it 3 wins in a row for Sevilla in this one, Junior?
It seems that way, right? I'm sure you love collecting money from Eric Lamela winners now that he's gone from Spurs.
I know. I feel so conflicted about it. I'm loving the money, hating Lamela's happy face when he's doing it.
I know that you love that. Here's the thing, though. I think Elche's. I mean, again, recency bias, right? It's only been 2 games. I thought Elche looked pretty good last week. Yeah. I thought that the goal that Atleti, cheers to them. You know, they took their goal really well. But I don't think that was I don't think that was poor defending by Elche. More so, just great skill by Correa to get himself free and then outside of the foot top corner finish. I mean, that's just a world-class finish by a player who's in form. I don't think that it was due to Elche's shortcomings. And correct me if I'm wrong. Were Atleti really dangerous besides that one goal? Didn't seem like it to me. So I think Elche, you know, after 2 weeks has shown at the very least they're organized. At the very least that their backline seems pretty solid. And they actually do a pretty good job of keeping possession. So I'm not 100% convinced by Sevilla's results, to be honest with you. Not to say they didn't deserve to win last match because they did play very well. But it was a fortunate result for them. And I need to see more before I pay this type of price for Sevilla.
Oh, that's fair enough. Matt, I don't think you've got Sevilla either on your sheet. Do you need to see a bit more from Sevilla to be convinced that they can pick up results against the likes of Elche?
I think so, yeah. I mean, last season, this was a game that Elche did win in the home game, and it kind of kick-started their fight back. It was one of those kind of weird midweek games where it was just kind of a complete, almost a freak. No one expected it, and then it just took everyone by surprise. Like Junior says, I think both of these previous results have been kind of fortuitous for Sevilla and obviously unlucky for Elche. I mean, it was just a goalkeeping howler which allowed Correa to get into that space. And as you say, it was a fantastic finish. And then as for Sevilla, again, I was heading for a 0-0 all day long. And then the final minute, they get a loose ball and finish it superbly, to be fair. And Lamela is on fire. And they have a phenomenal squad. And once again, Monchi has done the business. And it does look like they're going to lose Jules Koundé. I think once Kurt Zouma goes to West Ham, I think Chelsea will go all in for Jules Koundé. But again, you can bet that Monchi will have a backup plan already sorted and he'll put that into action as soon as. So don't worry about that. If you think losing Koundé will really hammer Sevilla, it'll be a loss, but they will cope. As for this game, yeah, I would say Sevilla would probably win, but at the same time, I wouldn't be too confident enough to tip it for it.
Yeah, Arsenal were trying to sign Monchi. Came close to it. Well, they offered him the deal anyway, and he said no, he wants to go to Sevilla, and got Edu instead. What could have been? What could have been? Sevilla playing much better football. Moving on to Real Sociedad versus Levante. I always say Real Sociedad, being of an Anglophone English language, but the guys on La Liga Lowdown always called them Real Sociedad last season. Is it Real Sociedad, Matt? Should I be saying Real Sociedad?
Yeah, it kind of depends. The kind of Latin American pronunciation, they kind of emphasize the C's more, but if it's a kind of Spanish speaking, it's generally the C is like a F sound. So yeah, Real Sociedad. You can call them La Real if that's easier.
I'm going to call them La Real from now on. I'm a big fan of La Real. Been to see them play at home, and I always think they play very attractive football against the Levante team that just put 3 past Real Madrid. Do you think we can see a high-scoring game in this one?
It's possible. Sorry, yeah, it's possible. I've gone for Real Sociedad in this game. I do think that they're just clicking into the groove, and they've had a kind of really encouraging window. They've just brought in Sorloth from Leipzig, and I think he could complement or even, be the backup for Alexander Isak really quite well. And there's just so much positivity around that club at the moment. Young coach, good academy, players coming through all the time, making the Spain squad, making the 21 Spain squad. So they've just got so much talent there. And, Mikel Oyarzabal is just a phenomenal footballer, and he's already scored in both games. So you'd probably be quite quite fortunate. I think he could easily score again in this game. And yeah, Levante on the road without their fans kind of being so raucous, I think it also more of a tough one to back, really, I think. So I quite fancy the home side here.
Yeah, quite a long journey for them as well, I guess. I'm going for Real Sociedad as well in this. I've got Real Sociedad and under 4.5 goals. I've got minus 105 on that, which I think looks good. Junior, are you expecting an open game between these two?
I really am. I've gone for over 2.5, minus 122. I think that, Sociedad have they have a lot more to offer than we've seen. I think David Silva, that's funny. David Silva missed a sitter in the last game, and as he continues to grow into the season, along with Oyarzabal, who looks very good, I thought Isaac, I don't know how to pronounce his name. I don't know Finnish or Swedish pronunciations, but Isaac looks pretty good too. I think the combination of Oyarzabal and Isaac gives you, a mix of strength, a mix of speed, a mix of youth, a mix of a lot of things that really, really are positives for this Real Sociedad team. I've gone for the over for a couple of different reasons. I think Levante just looks confident. All of their outfield players look very good to me so far to start the season. And the fact that they're without Aitor Fernandez, who got that red card against Real Madrid late on when he came out, and not really sure he needed to do all that, but I think that's going to be a hole for them at the back as well. I see a wide open game between two teams that are not afraid to come out and play. So I've gone for the over 2.5.
Like it. Yeah, a lot of people in the chat are going for both teams to score an over 2.5 goals, which is otherwise known as the Alex Classic on this show sometimes. Ian Messina's going for Real Sociedad and over 1.5 goals. I feel like a 3-1 win for Real Sociedad or something like that, and we'll all be happy. Okay, big game. Real Betis versus Real Madrid. I really thought Real Madrid could beat Levante last weekend. I was after their opening weekend performance. I was shocked by that, but in the end they did pretty well to battle back and get a draw. Great late salvo from Vinicius. What are you expecting, Junior, this time around? Do you think we're going to see another very open game with lots of goals?
Yeah, I mean, that I've gone for Betis here, pretty big number actually, and again, I'm one of those people that I do like to play the price a lot of the time, and I just feel that this number is a bit outrageous, considering Real Madrid have looked okay, but here's the thing. Betis is going to come to play football, right? They're not going to come to park the bus. They're not going to come to sit at the back. Either they're going to win, and if they go down to a 2-3-0 result themselves because they tried to play, then so be it. I think that defensively, Militao, I'm not really sure how he even got into the Brazilian national team, to be honest with you. What about Militao makes anybody confident? His positional sense in that game last week, he was all over the place. Lucas Vazquez is not a right back. I'm sorry. He is not a right back. And Nacho, again, same thing I said about Militao. Does Nacho inspire confidence in you that he's going to be solid at the back? So I just don't see anything about Real Madrid that makes me think that they should be, I'm not going to say heavy favorites, but to me they seem like heavy favorites in a situation where Real Betis hasn't looked their best, but they haven't been terrible either. They've had some really bad luck. I think that, Juanmi has offered some goals, and I think the rest of their guys, speaking of missing sitters, Sergio Canales missed literally the exact same sitter that David Silva missed in that game. So Betis has been pretty unlucky. I don't see any reason why they can't pick up a result at home against a Real Madrid, the team that might be more talented on paper, but are they more organized? I'm not really sure about that.
Yeah, I think it makes great points there, Junior. You're always going to get a good, entertaining game from a Manuel Pellegrini team. They turn up and they they play football. It's going to be sometimes it works. Sometimes they pick up shock victories. Sometimes they get absolutely taken apart. But a lot of people in the chat are going for Real Betis. I think Barca man's got Real Madrid Betis draw double chance at just better than even money. Sean thinks it's going to be a feisty game with over 1.5 cards for each team. But yeah, I also agree that Militao's not the most robust defender, and that could be Real Madrid's real weak spot over the course of the season. I think you're agreeing, aren't you, Matt, that Real Madrid are going to concede in this game?
Yeah, I've gone both teams to score. Again, mainly for the reasons that we've touched on there. I think defensively they're in a transition basically. Losing Varane and Ramos in the same summer is pretty hard for anyone to cope with. And they brought in David Alaba, but he's been playing on the left the last couple of games. So
that's not going to help them in the middle of defence that much, is it? Having Alaba as your left back, surely you've got to play him in the centre.
Well, it's strange. I think that was all the talk that when he was signed and then Ramos went, that was the kind of Ramos replacement kind of narrative. But equally, he's played a lot at left back and looks very good there, especially going forward. And of course, Real Madrid have always had very good offensive left full-backs, from Roberto Carlos to Contrao to, of course, Marcelo. So I think when you look at, I appreciate what you're saying there, Junior, with Militao and Nacho. But what I will say is that at the end of last season, when Real Madrid were kind of fighting to stay in the Champions League and the league race, those two really did step up and they were performing at a very high level for Real Madrid. I mean, they played as a centre-back partnership at Anfield in that Champions League second leg, and they kept Liverpool out. They didn't score a goal. They didn't even look like scoring in that game, Liverpool. So I think towards the end of Zidane's time there, Nacho and Militao were starting to form a partnership. Admittedly, they have looked shaky to start with, but I think there is something that Madrid fans are certainly hopeful that could blossom there. But like you say, overall, the kind of structure of it so far, it does look like there'll be goals. And as you said, Betis, Pellegrini against one of his former sides, there should be goals here. I'm pretty confident of that.
Ooh, okay, thanks, Matt. Yeah, I'm with you there. Both teams to score. As we're speaking, breaking news coming through from the Manchester United official website. Cristiano Ronaldo has signed. He's officially a Man United player, subject to a medical, of course. But former Real Madrid great is back at Old Trafford, where
Varane
really kicked off with Varane. Yeah, I wonder who they'll take next. That'll blow. Could it blow the Premier League title race wide open? Guess the Premier League title race is already wide open. That just makes it even more interesting. Back to the La Liga title race. We are moving on to Barcelona versus Getafe. Barcelona not done badly, really, have they, to take 4 points from their opening 2 games of the season after all the doom and gloom that surrounded the club in the summer. Not the end of the world, getting a draw away at Athletic Club. What do you think in this one, Matt? Do you think Barcelona return to winning ways?
I think they will, yeah. I think back at home, there'll be some positivity again. That, as I say, they really did suffer in that game last week, but they got through it. They got a point. And given that only 2 clubs have got 6 from 6, they'll consider that a fairly decent start given the turmoil of the summer. And I think Getafe are one of those teams that, again, they've had a big transition from Bordalas to Michel. The style is, on paper, can really change. And I think they've just struggled to kind of get to grips with that so far. It might take them a little bit more time to settle in. And they've already played Sevilla and now they've got Barca. So that's a pretty demanding fixture list to kind of start the season. So, yeah, I think Barcelona shouldn't have too many problems in this game. I think they could rack up a few goals here.
Oh, interesting. Are you in agreement, Junior, or do you not really like the price too much on this Barcelona team?
Yeah, it's just really the price. I thought about them at -1.5, -110, but then I felt like I was forcing it. I still need to see more. I am encouraged by the way that Memphis Depay and De Jong, national team teammates look together. They both look strong to start the season, and they seem to be on the same wavelength as well. I don't love the fact that I'm not going to call it a makeshift backline, but as poorly as Eric Garcia played last week, I don't think one game defines a player. Because as bad as your buddy there, Matty, was for Arsenal, Eric Garcia 3 hours later said, "Hold my beer." I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you that I can be the worst Spanish defender on the day. But no, in all seriousness, being without Garcia and Piqué is not ideal. Araujo, the Uruguayan, he actually played pretty well in the few appearances that he's made throughout his career. He's still a young player. Lenglet, I don't really have a feel for him. So the back line has me a bit concerned with the 1.5, which is the reason why I'm off of it.
Yeah, fair enough. I passed this one too. Okay, moving on to newly promoted Rayo Vallecano coming up against Granada, who hoping for a better season this time around. Things haven't quite gone to plan for them so far, but 2 draws out of 2 isn't the end of the world. Coming up against the team that are bottom of the league, do you think they can get a result in this one, Junior? I think an away win is maybe on the cards.
I don't really have much to say about this game because I think Rayo, as I mentioned before the first game of the season, are probably a relegation candidate. And 2 weeks into the season, I'm even more convinced of that than I was then. That being said, the teams in the lower half of the table, they usually take a while to get going, right? So I don't want to overreact to what I've seen so far. I would just be concerned with Granada's front line, which, it's pretty strong. Carlos Baca is no slouch. And although, Luis Suarez has a pretty lofty name to live up to, his finish from that Carlos Baca pass for Granada's goal in the last game, that was a fantastic finish, a fantastic pass. But I just think that for me to back Granada, it would have to be a different situation. They're coming into a game where Vallecano's fans haven't seen First Division football in like 3 years at least. So you have to imagine that stadium is going to be, even though it's not going to be a capacity, the atmosphere is going to be pretty energized, which could put a battery in Rayo's back. They obviously want to get a result, and if they're not going to get a result in fixtures like this, then you might as well go ahead and put their name in Segunda División right now.
True. Hassan is going for over 1.5 goals for Granada. So he's thinking more bad times for Rayo. Barcelon's going half-time draw, better than even money. Bit of debate about who's going to take penalties at Man United now. Can't imagine Ronaldo giving the ball to anyone. If there's a spot kick, he's going to be stepping up for that, I reckon. This one's a straightforward pass for me. Are you passing this one too, Matt?
Yeah, I think there's too many kind of variables at play here. Junior's absolutely spot on when he talks about the stadium and the support that Rayo could have. It's been a kind of quite a tense situation off the pitch because the fans do not get on with the president. So there's been protests in the latter half of last season. So yeah, it could be a feisty atmosphere. That could help the team, of course, but equally they've got a lot to kind of make up from those opening defeats. It was really kind of tough because they were down to 10 men so early in their opener against Sevilla, and then last week they only lost to a penalty against Real Sociedad. So you could say in one sense they haven't done too badly not to get hammered twice, but at the same time, yeah, we're still kind of in the dark about exactly what their best version will look like. And yeah, Granada, there's some encouraging signs there. We've mentioned the Colombian connection there already working for a goal. Yeah, I think Granada should be fine this season. I know there's been a massive change. Diego Martinez did a phenomenal job there, and it's a lot to live up to that. And they've lost some key players too. But I think they've shown enough in the opening weeks to show that they will still be kind of a mid-table side.
Okay, thank you very much, Matt. I'm also going to pass this next one, Cádiz versus Osasuna. Again, I just think two relatively evenly matched teams, neither one displaying particularly good form. Both teams have drawn both of their games so far this season. Perhaps if I was going to go for anything, I'd have to go for a draw. Do you think, Matt, there's going to be another draw, perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm standing on the fence, but draws have been the order of the day. They have been this season. There have been a lot of draws so far in La Liga, and I don't see that particularly changing this weekend. As you say, yeah, they got a point at Betis last week, Cádiz, and Manuel Pellegrini was very frustrated with the way that they were kind of slowing the game down and managing the game, shall we say, in a certain way very early on. I think Osasuna will want to score. They've had 2 home games to start the season, but they haven't managed to score. So that will be a frustration for Jagoba Arrasate. I would like to see Chimi Avila play from the start, because I think when he came on, he looked really threatening for them. He was getting a couple of headers in. He probably should have scored one of them at least, but he was just so much more lively in the box for them. So I think if he can start the game, maybe with Budimir, I think Osasuna could get this one. But yeah, I do think a draw is probably the most likely outcome.
Yeah, you can get about 3.05 on the draw, which looks pretty good. Junior, are you passing this one?
I'm passing this one. Again, it's one of those things where I just don't think Cádiz offers enough going forward. For me, it's Osasuna or nothing, especially at this price. Yeah, I suppose that penalty for Cádiz, what was a penalty, the goalie was a little bit reckless, but I just don't think that going forward they offer enough for me to invest in them. Whereas I'm actually staying away from this game because I've really, really tried as a handicapper to not let what I just saw, the recency bias is so real that what I just saw Osasuna do versus Celta has me really wanting to back them. But am I really now backing Osasuna on the road? Like, what am I doing here? So no, just sit back and watch and just try to gather as much information as possible to see who to invest in next week.
Agree. Yeah, I'm not going to be betting on Osasuna on the road either. And yeah, in a good few weeks' time, we'll have a much clearer idea of how well each team is playing at home, how well each team is playing away, how defensively solid each team is on the whole, and just a lot more data to go on. Final game of the weekend is the biggest game of the weekend. It's Atletico Madrid, champions, up against Europa League winners Villareal. Should be a pretty tight, tense game, I reckon. 2 teams that are both very, very organised, very disciplined, both pretty stubborn at the back, both made decent, Atletico Madrid have made a decent start to the new season. Villareal less so, but they haven't lost. I'll come to you first, Junior. Do you think Atletico can get a win here? It would be a very important win if they could.
I mean, I tried to talk myself into Villarreal at plus 425 in so many different ways. But I think Diego Simeone is just the type of manager that I really feel like Diego Simeone is the type of guy that even though he has obviously a structure and a certain way of playing, he does have the tactical nuance to adjust to the opponent. I think he's highly aware that Villarreal is just desperate for a result. And personally, why would you be afraid to come out all guns blazing against Atleti so you could possibly lose 1-0? I mean, it's not like Atleti is going to, all of a sudden become an attacking force regardless of how you play. Now, that's not to say that they are incapable of getting a big result at Atleti. It's just that is not the norm for them. They usually score several goals in several different ways. They might nick a counter-attacking goal. They might get an individual goal. They might get a set-piece goal. I think that Villarreal in this situation, because of their desperation for a result, that's actually what makes me afraid to go ahead and take them at that price, even though it's so enticing every time I look at it. I'm still staring at it right now. I just think that Atleti is just so good at getting results, especially at home. I think, to me, the more likely result is another draw. That's a little bit boring, but I think that Atleti would actually be fine with that, to be honest.
Yeah, I also looked at it for a while. I just think the home advantage could ultimately count in Atletico's favour. I know they draw a lot on the road. They often are a bit stronger in Madrid. A big game for them. I just saw the price on a straight Atletico win and just put it down because I thought it looked great. But a couple of guys in the chat are saying, Sean's saying Atletico and under 4.5. Hassan's going for Atletico and under 3.5. And I like that a lot because I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring game. So if you do want to go for Atletico, chuck in under 4.5 goals or something like that and you'll get better value. Matt, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Junior said there. I've gone for Atleti to nil. Villarreal have struggled to score this season. Emery's trying to find the right formula in attack. They've brought a couple of exciting signings in. Danjuma, of course, from England, from Bournemouth. But I think it will just take a little bit of time to bed in. Of course, they've got Gerard Moreno up front, the Europa League Player of the Year, just announced today. So there's definitely goals in that team, but at the moment it's just not quite clicking. And as you say, Atleti at home, they just had their 100th game in the Wanda Metropolitano, and of course they celebrated it in true style with a 1-0 win last week. So I think they could be on for that again. I think with Rodrigo de Paul, he already looks the part. He's creating chances from midfield, picking passes, and I just think, one of those will eventually come through for them, and probably Correa will probably nick another goal. So I would favour that result here.
What did you say? He's the Europa League Player of the Year, Moreno.
Yes, the draw for this season's group stage earlier today, and Gerard Moreno won the award ahead of Bruno Fernandes and Cavani.
So Nicolas Pepe's just been robbed again. This is just absolutely disgraceful. But hey,
no comment.
What are you gonna do? Okay, thanks both. We've kind of revealed our picks throughout, but just to make it all official, Esteban, could you please bring them up? Esteban's reminded me that now that we can see everyone's faces, I should just read out mine and then pass the baton on to you guys. So I'm going to start by saying I've got Mallorca draw no bet at -118, Sevilla at -120. I've got both teams to score in that Betis versus Real Madrid game at -145. I am going for Real Sociedad and under 4.5 goals at -105. And I've got Atletico at -119. But I would happily throw in an under 4.5 goals on that Atletico game as well. Okay, Matt, what are your 4 picks?
Yeah, I agree with you. I've gone for both teams to score in Betis against Real Madrid. I've gone for Barca -1.5 goals. I just think they've got a good chance of winning by 2-goal margin or more here. I think they could if they get ahead early. I think it could be a long afternoon for Getafe. And given their start to the season, that's exactly what they don't want to be facing Barca away. That's for sure. As we just touched on, Atleti to nil. I think they're very solid, and I think the ability for them to keep clean sheets is probably one of the most guaranteed of any of Europe's top 5 leagues at the moment, to be honest. And I like Real Sociedad as well at that price. I think back home against a team that has had a good result, Levante, last week, but off the back of that, I think it will be quite hard for them to match that level once again.
Nice, thanks, Matt. Junior, you've got 4 picks there. Can you let the viewers know what they are, please?
Yes, I've gone for Valencia. I think that they're defensively they can hold their opponents to nil. Hopefully, nick a goal for me, get me a win there. I've gone for Sociedad and Levante over 2.5. I think that's actually going to be a wide open game where your boys, La Sociedad, probably get themselves a couple of goals. But and I think Levante might even be not even might. I think they're actually likely to at least nick one themselves. I don't see why Betis cannot pick up a result against Real Madrid at home, even though the price is pretty ridiculous at plus 335. And I've gone for my boys. Well, they're not my boys, but it's just a team I like, a team I think that can get results. Bilbao in a situation where I don't believe that their opponents look as solid at the back as they can. Although Celta Vigo is a very talented side, I think that Bilbao has what it takes to get a result here.
Okay, thank you very much, Junior, and thank you, Esteban, for putting them up. Hassan, we have a guy, Tancredi Palmieri, on our Serie A shows and Bundesliga shows, and when he does a pick with high odds, it's a Tan madness, and everyone starts shouting. So this is a Junior madness. You've got a plus 335, and everyone's excited for the Junior madness. Hope it comes off, because that will be a great profit boost for the show. Thank you, everyone, for watching us pontificate about these games, and for all your great comments in the chat. Thank you to Junior and Matt for joining me. Give us a thumbs up if you like what you've heard. It's great for Google algorithms and other things that I don't understand. And head on over to sportsbookreview.com and read much more about these games and lots of other sports, and take part in that Pick 6 contest. Hope you all have a great weekend. Hope you get lots of winners, and look forward to seeing you all next week. Thank you.